Eyebrows is one of the most underrated facial features. There is probably no other facial feature that subconsciously makes such a huge difference to looks and attractiveness as the eyebrows do. They act as a key identifier for people's faces, and something that really illustrates their importance is that people would find it hard to recognize you if you suddenly shaved off your eyebrows, but the same would not occur if you got a buzz cut. Therefore, it might not be all too surprising that even the slightest change in the eyebrows can affect how people perceive you and your looks. And the great thing is that since it is hair, it is something that can be altered, and that in an instant. In this video, we will go through some facts on the eyebrows regarding appearance and, more importantly, how to maximize your eyebrows in regards to attractiveness, male or female, to look as good as possible and become your most attractive self. Welcome to the Complete Eyebrows Guide by Look School. The first topic, which is critical to understand eyebrows, is the eyebrow placement. This is, quite obviously, where the eyebrows are located. Some people have eyebrows higher up, whereas some people have eyebrows closer to the eyes. This, together with the brow ridge placement and upper orbital edge, is pretty much what makes your upper eye area. This video is focused on the eyebrows, but I want to say that I have already made a video on eyes, which you can find on my channel, so check that out if you're interested, since I go in more depth on the eye area and brow ridge as a whole. But anyways, in theory we can divide eyebrow placement into 3 different categories to get some structure. High set eyebrows, medium set and low set eyebrows. One can have a rather high set brow ridge and upper orbital edge, which is basically the top of the eye socket, but low set eyebrows, and vice versa. A good example of someone with this combination of a high set brow ridge with low set eyebrows is world famous actor Cillian Murphy. As you can see, he has quite a lot of upper eyelid exposure showing, but his eyebrows are located almost on the edge of his orbital socket. 2 examples of people with a lower set brow ridge and medium to higher set eyebrows is actors Tyson Beckford and Jennifer Lawrence. And to also give an example of someone with a low brow ridge and low set eyebrows, the best one has got to be male model Sean O'Prey. There are obviously all different kinds of variations out there with their own unique beauty, but for you guys that have followed the channel and seen my content before, you know that I like to be science-based when it comes to defining what's more desirable, since opinions vary, and looks and beauty is subjective, although not as much as the popular opinion seems to want to believe. Okay, anyways, eyebrows closer to the eyes are often beneficial for attractiveness in males. This conclusion on eyebrows placement comes from a Turkish study which researched the ideal eyebrow shape and position. The study concluded that the brow should overlie the orbital rim in males and be several millimeters above the rim in females. Also, some of you have probably heard the term hunter eyes, which have gotten more mainstream in recent times. This look is achieved through eyebrows located close to the eyes and are seen as ideal in many cases for men. Okay, so what is the verdict for females when it comes to eyebrow placement? Well, in the study, data-driven research on the matching degree of eyes, eyebrows and face shapes, the scientist Zhao and his crew go on to explain that although eye-to-eyebrow distance does serve as a proxy for female attractiveness, it is heavily influenced by overall face shape. Shorter, rounder faces are scored as most attractive when they have high set or more distal eyebrows with a higher degree of curvature, whereas square or longer faces are considered most attractive with exactly the opposite, lower set, flatter eyebrows. So basically, women with shorter and rounder faces are probably in general better off with higher set eyebrows, whereas women with longer or more square face shapes could benefit more from lower set brows. There was also another study made that did not factor in different face shapes. In the study, women with higher set eyebrows actually ranked to be more attractive than their lower browed counterparts across the board. This could be linked to dimorphism, because previous findings have concluded, as this famous study by Cunningham, that the expressive features of highly set eyebrows were associated with female features. And also, men's eyes in general have a greater width to height ratio than women's, with women's eyes oftentimes being rounder and therefore more neotenous. This further states that a lower eyebrow placement is dimorphic in men, as it makes the eye area more vertically compact. But it's not that simple, and dimorphism doesn't equal attractiveness, which we will soon get into even further looking at the studies on eyebrow thickness. There are many factors that come into play, and the most important part is, as many times in facial attractiveness, harmony. Low set eyebrows are probably good for most men, but there's no one size fits all, and too much of a strong brow ridge and low eyebrows can give a sort of a Neanderthalic ogre look that is far from ideal. In general, I would personally say that the clinical studies indicate that lower set eyebrows are good for men and women, but specifically women with longer or more square face shapes. Higher eyebrows are good for females, but could impact males' attractiveness negatively. So now you might wonder, what can you do about eyebrow placement? Well, not a lot, except for more extreme measures. You can lift your brows with Botox or by going under the knife doing a brow lift procedure. If you want to achieve lower brows, you can do a reverse brow lift surgery. This is an incredibly specialized procedure that requires an extensive background in the reconstructive scalp and forehead surgery field. So yep, that's quite extreme, and I would encourage you to be happy and work with the eyebrow placement that you have instead. And there is one non-surgical way that can give the illusion of having lower set brows, which I will get to in a minute. Okay, let's leave the subject of eyebrow placement and move into thickness. Now it gets really interesting and also shows how complex eyebrows and attractiveness is. There's a study from 2019 conducted by Oakland University psychology professors Dr. Lisa Welling and Dr. Justin Mogilski, in which men were found to be more attracted to women with thicker, fuller eyebrows. This is a little bit surprising considering that another study by Farkas and Monroe from 1987 exists, which states that there is a sexual dimorphism in both eyebrow thickness, the distance from the bottom edge to the top of the brow, and brow to eye distance, with females in general possessing higher and thinner brows. And as often is the case when there is a sexual dimorphism, we as humans like to accentuate it, which probably has been the case here as well, as it has been and still is common for women to pluck and trim their eyebrows and make them even thinner and less dense. And another study in which participants rated a computer-generated ideal face also showed this difference, where the ideal women's face as voted by other women shows quite thin eyebrows, whereas when the men are included in the selection of choosers, the eyebrows of the AI-generated women's face thickens and also becomes darker. So what about men and thickness? Well, as previously stated, men are often considered better looking with eyebrows closer to their eyes. And this is a look that's actually reinforced with thicker eyebrows, so the two traits are intertwined because thicker, fuller eyebrows gives the illusion of them being lower set, as they cover more of the skin between the brow and the eye socket. And this is what I hinted about before on how to get lower looking brows without surgery. So thickness is in general positive for men. Just look at the faces of the most attractive males you can think of and you'll see an obvious trend. If you don't believe me, see this AI generated face of the most attractive man. He has quite distinct eyebrows. And thicker eyebrows are also considered masculine due to the dimorphism, as just covered with the Farkas and Monroe study. So why do we like decently thick eyebrows so much? One hypothesis is that eyebrow thickness has evolutionary reasons to its importance, just like a prominent brow ridge and high-set cheekbones, as these were features meant to protect the eyes while hunting or fighting back in our caveman days. Therefore, the eyebrows should be thick, but not too thick as that only looks absurd. And you can't change the placement of the brows other than with surgery, but you can, as I said, grow a thicker, bushier brow which will place lower than a thinner brow, all other things the same. So if you're looking to make your eye area more compact, you should then look into trying to make your brows thicker and more dense. So how can you improve the thickness? The most obvious thing is to stop tweezing and waxing and threading and let them grow. But if you're a guy, you most probably doesn't even do this to begin with, and I'm speaking from experience, so what can you do then? The first thing that can make a huge difference regarding perceived brow density is gonna be a shocker for some of you, and it's actually to color, or tint if you will, your brows. Especially if you have lighter eyebrows, coloring them 1 or 2 shades darker will make a massive difference and really bring out the brows and give them a fuller, more dense look. Dyeing the eyebrows is a very cheap, underestimated and quick looks max, so definitely try it out. Just make sure to ease into it, since the dye acts quickly and you don't want to end up looking uncanny. So apply on the brows and leave on for 1 or 2 minutes before washing it away, and that should be enough to see great results. Okay, let's move on to what actually can be done to grow more hairs and density. There are a few ways. One thing that many swears by is applying castor oil onto the brows to make them grow. However, the scientific research on this is scarce at best. Basically, it is thought that the ricinoleic acid, which is a fatty acid that makes up almost 90% of castor oil and has been found to fight inflammation, contributes to the oil's ability to enhance the health of hair follicles and promote their growth. There are 2 scientific studies that indirectly supports this. In one study, researchers found that men who have lost their hair as a result of male pattern baldness have high amounts of a protein named prostaglandin D2. And in another study, researchers found that ricinoleic acid may inhibit PGD2 or prostaglandin D2, helping the participants of the study grow their hair back. Castor oil is also high in vitamin E, which, according to certain studies, is a vitamin that boosts hair growth. This might sound promising, but it's actually not that convincing, since no successful study on castor oil leading to actual growth of the brows has been made. But there are plenty of anecdotal reports claiming its positive effects, so it could be worth giving it a try. If you're a bit cynical and want something with more guaranteed effects, there is minoxidil, which is more of an actual pharmaceutical product that has been scientifically proven to increase hair growth. The most common brand name of minoxidil is Rogaine. While it is unknown exactly how the treatment works, it helps to dilate blood vessels, which then improves hair follicle function and stimulates hair growth. The thing with minoxidil is that it's made for use on the scalp, and the eyebrows and area around, let alone the eyes, is way more sensitive, making dermatologists hesitant to recommend this treatment. But there's one study published in 2014 that concluded that there were minimal side effects of using Rogaine as a brow growth method. Rogaine could come with some side effects though. There has been some debate on if minoxidil could make the skin a bit more rough, since it is known for its drying components, and some people who use it on their scalp experience dandruff. And those drying qualities would likely only be exacerbated by thinner eyebrow hair and the more delicate, sensitive skin surrounding it, according to brow stylist Joey Healy. But it for sure works, as he also warns about unwanted excess hair in the form of peach fuzz around the brow. Another challenger when it comes to things you can slap onto your eyebrows is bimatoprost, which is the active ingredient in what's more commonly known as lattice. Lattice is the first FDA-approved treatment clinically proven to grow lashes. Therefore, it is likely that the exact mechanism of action that increases eyelash growth also works on the eyebrows. Lattice has not explicitly been studied for use to treat eyebrow hair, but a 2012 study investigated the efficiency of minoxidil versus bimatoprost or lattice for eyebrows. After 16 weeks, both formulas were found to be equally effective for hair regeneration. That sounds really promising, doesn't it? If you're looking to improve your eyebrow thickness with even greater results, you should try to do microneedling or microblading, which is the act of poking tiny holes in the skin with a microneedling tool to wake the, in this case, brow hair follicles up and help regenerate hair growth. Studies have shown that doing this together with bimatoprost actually causes an even greater increase in hair density and thickness in the brows. Lastly, I want to say that there are surgical options as well. An eyebrow transplant is a type of cosmetic surgery to make your eyebrows fuller. This is a permanent procedure that can last a lifetime. A surgeon will move hair follicles from your scalp to your eyebrows. Okay, now we've covered a lot regarding placement and thickness, density, and even color. Let's say that you've grown all the thickness you need and achieved the perfect color. Should you do anything to shape the eyebrows? Well, we all know that eyebrows come in various shapes and they all impact your face differently. Just a quick PSA, if you decide to do anything to the eyebrows, always proceed with caution. You should never overdo your brows, as eyebrow hairs don't always grow back, so it's crucial not to overpluck, or you may risk damaging or losing eyebrow follicles for good. Doing too much will also probably just give an opposite effect of what you're looking for, since, as I said in the beginning, a slight change can make a big difference, and natural looks are generally preferred. But anyway, let's proceed. First, you should make sure to always shape your brows symmetrically. This can be achieved easier by using a reversed mirror, since the brain then hyperfixates on asymmetries, making them easier to detect. But a normal mirror works fine too. In general, most people have a slight asymmetry in the eyebrows, and that's fine. However, there are ways to counteract the eyebrow asymmetry. If one eyebrow has a higher arch than the other, you could very likely try to twizzle the top hair of the higher up brow, and also use a brow pen to fill in where one brow has a bald spot but not the other. Before shaping the brows, you should obviously first try to find out which is the ideal shape for you. When it comes to the set, I would say that in general for men, the best bet is to try to achieve flat eyebrows, no matter which face shape you have. You want your eye area to be as compact as possible, as this creates the masculine dimorphic look, which, as we covered before, is usually ideal as a guy. So what can you do to achieve this look? Well, if you have a higher arch to the eyebrow, you should try to achieve a straighter look. This is, like with countering asymmetries, generally done by plucking the hair that separates from the straight line and also using a brow pen to fill out the brow to achieve a straighter line. Many tutorials online recommends that you use an eyebrow brush and brush the hair downwards and then trim the bottom hairs. I would be cautious to do this since, as we've covered, it's generally positive with eyebrows closer to the eyes, so preferably try to achieve the straight look without trimming the downward hairs, as you want a dense eyebrow closer to the eyes as a man. You should also try to make sure that the eyebrow's outer edge is higher up than the inner edge, or at least at the same vertical point. This is called a positive eyebrow tilt or a neutral eyebrow tilt, and is always preferred to a negative tilt, as that generally makes you look tired, uninterested, and just gives a worse look to the eye area. So what about the eyebrow shape for females? Well, I don't even know where to start. As I said before, in general there are more different eyebrow shapes that can work in favor of the attractiveness of the female faces than there are for the males. The scientist Zhao and his crew, in their study Data-Driven Research on the Matching Degree of Eye, Eyebrows and Face Shapes, which we cited regarding eyebrow placement, go on to explain that the eye-to-eyebrow distance and shape can accentuate other attractive facial features, slim the overall facial appearance and alter the perception of eye size. But the bidirectionality of this relationship means that the ideal eyebrow placement varies with individual facial aesthetics. So basically, as with eyebrow placement, if you have a shorter rounder face, you could probably get away with a thinner and more curved eyebrow shape. But if you have a square or longer face, maybe you should try something more like the thicker, dense, natural look. Other than that, there's really no conclusion regarding eyebrow shape with women. This might be anticlimactic, but the ideal shape for women is that it depends. So hopefully you have gained at least some insight on what could be the best shape for you from this video, but there is no general answer. When it comes to where the eyebrow should start and end, I just want to say a few things before wrapping this up that goes for both men and women. Personally, I wouldn't really mess with this too much, as there's not that much of a reward and quite a big risk of trying to make your eyebrows shorter or longer. But in general, the inner part of your eyebrows should preferably be somewhat parallel to the nostrils. Definitely twizzle to get rid of any excess hair between the eyebrows, unless you want this kind of look. But don't make the gap bigger than necessary, as having a wider gap between your eyebrows will make the face look wider. But obviously this can be a good thing if you have a very long face, but will also probably make you look a bit more feminine and uncanny actually if it doesn't really fit your face. Your eyebrows' outer point should reach the outer part of your eyelids at least, but preferably they should even extend a bit beyond that to where your cheekbones are, or even slightly further than that. And that was all. Thank you for watching and bye!